everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophia if you are new, and today's video is going to be all about foundation. Now, before we go ahead and get started, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, leave me your thoughts and comments down below, and leave me your guys' favorite foundations because I'm always down to try a new one. But without further ado, let's go. Okay, so obviously I'm not the first person to ever do this video. I can't remember who I saw do this, but I just was like, wow, that's actually really cool and I really want to try it. So I have my laptop here and I went to Sephora. Whoopsie. I went to Sephora.com and I just went to like their best-selling page and I scrolled through and just looked at the foundations that I have tried, that I've had in my collection, that I've tried multiple times, and just for some reason every single time I use them they just are a flop and they don't work for me. However though, with this video I know it can be negative, and I know some of these foundations are probably some of your guys' holy grail foundations. So just because these didn't work for me doesn't mean they're not going to work for you. Doesn't mean I am taking this personal and totally hating against the brand. I'm not, because from each one of these brands I've tried other things from them and I love them. I usually love them overall as a brand. Just these specific foundations did not work for me. Also, just so this video isn't so Debbie Downer, I am going to recommend other foundations that I was hoping the foundation I don't like would be like one I do like and that I do love. That way, in case you've tried these foundations and you don't like them but you want an alternative, I have that for you today. So I'm really excited for this video. There's one foundation that I actually threw out that I don't have anymore. So I'm gonna mention that one and kind of go over why I don't like it and why I would not recommend it. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm looking at the foundations right now in front of me, but each one of these foundations is from a different brand. I don't have a duplicate foundation or a duplicate brand in here. They're different brands, so that kind of shows you that depending on the brand and the product they come out with in the foundation type, it varies and it just depends. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I don't want this video to be super long. But the first foundation that I want to talk about that I know is so many people's holy grail is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. So I just recently picked this up in the last Sephora sale a couple months ago, and I have tried this foundation so many times, so many different ways. If you have any recommendations on how to use this foundation or what primers you use with this foundation, if you love it, please, please, please let me know, because this foundation was really expensive and I can't return it because I used my $100 gift card to Sephora, like the Rouge points. So that's why I still have this foundation. Otherwise, I definitely would have sold it and returned it by now because it was super expensive. I have the color shade 3.75 and it is a really good match. Just the reason why I don't like this foundation is it doesn't matter if I use a brush or a sponge, it always goes on streaky. And while the end result of how this foundation looks on the skin is okay, I just don't like the overall finish of it. Like once the foundation's on and I start using products with it, it's okay and the end result's okay, but I just feel icky when I wear this foundation and I don't like it at all. So like I said, if you guys have tried this and you know you like it, please let me know what primers you use. Maybe it's the primers I'm trying with it, who knows. It's just it's a no-go in my opinion. But a foundation that I would recommend instead of the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Hydrating Longwear Foundation. This is a natural finish foundation, but it does pull more towards that hydrating side. So kind of like how Luminous Silk is a natural luminous foundation, this one reminds me of it and it makes me think what could have been with the Armani one. So that's why I would recommend this Fenty Beauty one. I know it's not out yet, but it's gonna be out in a week or so. And also this Armani one is more of a medium, I would say true medium coverage foundation. And the Fenty one is also a true medium, but you can also build the Fenty one up to a full coverage. I've never tried building the Armani one up to a full coverage, but I'm sure you can do that. But yeah, so I would recommend the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Hydrating Longwear Foundation. if you've tried the Armani one and it did not work for you. So sticking with Fenty, one foundation that is also on the bestsellers on the Sephora website is the original Fenty Pro Filter Soft Matte Foundation. I have the shade 110. This foundation does oxidize a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but it does have a little oxidation in it, so just be aware of that when you are trying it in store. Make sure you just pump a little on the back of your hand and then kind of walk around for a couple minutes and see if it matches you. Now, the problem I have with this foundation is it just, every time I wore it, I thought it was pretty, but for some reason, I just always got like little patches around my face that I would see breakage or breakup. Also in my smile lines, I always got creases with this foundation, and it just wasn't worth it to me. I also felt like I had other foundations in my collection that gave me that really pretty soft filtered look that I would reach for over this foundation. This Venti foundation is a medium full coverage foundation in my opinion. And like I said, it's going for that soft matte look on the skin, which I actually like. I think it's a really pretty finish. Just, I don't really grab towards this foundation. I'd rather just use this one that I would recommend to you guys. And this is the Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation. It gives you that same soft matte filter-esque look, and it's really, really nice. This is in the shade 1.20. I also really enjoy the packaging on this Beauty Blender one because it has like a little petri dish right there, and you just pump the product and it sits there, and you can grab a beauty blender and just apply it to the skin without getting a tray dirty or gross. Also, with this Fenty Beauty one, I'm not sure if it's a color thing, since this color is way off from what I would normally wear. Like, I'll show you guys, for example, I'll do a little squirt on my hand so you're able to see in comparison to like another foundation that I actually wear. Like, I'll show you it compared to the Beauty Blender one, just so you're able to see the color difference. So this is what the color difference is. This one here is the Fenty one. Like you guys can see, it's super, super pale, and this one's the Beauty Blender one up top, and that one does give more of like that pinky look. The Fenty Beauty one is more like liquidy and more light, whereas the Beauty Blender one is a little bit thicker, but it doesn't bother me because when I apply my makeup, I use a Beauty Blender anyways, and I use tons of different sprays. So even though it's a little thicker, it doesn't bother me. I don't mind feeling like I have foundation on my skin some days. So if you've tried the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Foundation and it didn't work for you, go ahead and give the Beauty Blender one a try because I really enjoyed this one. Next up is a Benefit foundation. This is the Benefit Hello Happy Soft Blur Foundation in the shade 1. It's a light medium coverage liquid foundation, and it has SPF 15 in it. So obviously you guys can hear it. It is very, very liquidy, and like it says, it's a light to medium coverage foundation. With this foundation though, I did feel like it was more light. I did try building it, and I never felt like I could build it up enough to get a medium coverage look. The problem that I have with this foundation is not only the color range, because 1 is too light for me, but 2 is too dark for me. So whenever I did use this, I always felt like I had to add something to it, which I will do if it's worth it. Like, I'll take my Drunk Elephant De Bronzy drops and add to it, like I said, if I feel like I have to. But for some reason, this one, I just could not make work. It never looked good on my skin. It just made it look like crusty and patchy, and I also felt like it just didn't do what I was hoping it would do. And the other thing that I had a problem with was the applicator. Like you guys can see right here, this is a hot mess. It's just a squeezy tube, and the product gets everywhere. Like, it is uncontrollable. It goes all over. However, the packaging is really cute on this foundation, and I really do like the pink top and like the little smiley face. I thought it was really cute, but it's definitely not worth it. And something that I would recommend in comparison to what kind of vibe I wanted with this would be the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. This is the classic one, I believe, and yeah, this is the classic one, and it has SPF 20. So not only are you getting more SPF in the Laura Mercier one, but you are also getting a lot more product. The Laura Mercier one has 1.7 fluid ounces, whereas I'm pretty sure the Happy one only has 1 ounce. Also, this Laura Mercier one does have like that same squeeze top. However, for some reason, this one doesn't get as messy as the Benefit one does. Like you guys can see, it's just very clean, and the cap screws on really nice. The Benefit one just is a mess, and it just like gets literally everywhere, and it's honestly not even worth it to use because I'm constantly cleaning up after it. Now, the reason why I would prefer a tinted moisturizer over this light medium coverage foundation is because the moisturizer just feels really hydrating and really good on the skin. Also, with this moisturizer, I can just apply it with my fingers and not really worry about it or think about it, and it just gives a really pretty sheer color, whereas with this foundation, I would have to go in with a brush and buff it in and take my time. And honestly, when I'm using a light coverage product, I just want something that's seamless that I don't have to think about. So that's why I would recommend the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer over the Benefit Hello Happy foundation. Next foundation I want to talk about is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter foundation. I have the shade Vanilla. Really like the packaging. I think it's really nice. I don't mind the plastic. I actually enjoy it because when you're traveling, you don't have to worry about the glass breaking or anything like that. But holy guacamole, this foundation is extreme coverage. Like, it's a notch above full coverage, and it's also super pigmented. It has a super strong scent, and it is extremely matte. So if you want more of like that pretty luminous, dewy, everyday looking skin, steer clear of this one because it's going to give you that super full coverage matte look. This is definitely an Instagram kind of, you know, foundation. Like, if you want to get reposted by Huda Beauty, that's why you buy this foundation, in my opinion, because I don't need this type of foundation. I have never worn it other than posting on Instagram, which is really stupid because I really feel like I should use my products and not just have them sit in a drawer where I don't even touch them unless I'm filming for Instagram. I probably haven't used this foundation in over a year, I would say, just for that reason. It's very thick. It feels like I'm wearing a mask. It's really uncomfortable. I'll go ahead and do a pump on the back of my hand for you guys to see. Like, you can even see it's not even moving. That's how thick it is. I'll do a stripe with it, and that's what the foundation looks like. Extremely pigmented, extremely full coverage and matte, and it's just, honestly, it's not my vibe. I'm not into really matte foundations at all anymore. I never really was, but this is just a no-go for me. If you want something that is like that matte look, but you don't want it to be like super thick or super full coverage, then I would probably recommend the Too Faced Born This Way. I know this does give more of like that natural look, but it does also have like a matte essence to it. It definitely pulls more matte than more luminous, in my opinion. At least on my skin it does. And also, if you use it with matte primers and stuff, it will look matte versus using a matte foundation with a matte primer and looking like you're wearing a mask. I also love the Born This Way because it comes in so many different shades, and you can really find a really good match for you. I have the shade Seashell, and it's just amazing. I love this foundation. I always recommend this foundation to people because it's absolutely beautiful, and it just looks like you were born this way. So that's why I would recommend the Too Faced Born This Way foundation over the Huda Beauty Faux Filter. A foundation that is on the website's bestseller that I threw away. Gosh, how long ago was that? I probably threw it away over a year ago. Kat Von D Lock-It foundation. Now, when this first like hit the scene and like everyone was talking about it on YouTube and stuff, I never bought it just because it was too expensive and I wasn't about to spend that much money on a foundation. But everybody that I watched talked about it and said they loved it. So I knew that once I saved enough money to buy that foundation, I would want to try it, and that's what I did. Oh my god, it is like a version of the Huda Beauty one. It is so thick, it is so matte, it literally sucks any moisture out of your skin that you put on. It is just absolutely terrible. It looks, once again, like a mask, and I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself in comparison to the Huda Beauty one because they are so so similar. Now, if you are looking for that super full coverage foundation and you need something that's extremely matte, then those two foundations will work for you. Just for me, I'm never ever looking for that in a foundation, I've realized, and I'm never gonna wear that in public because I feel like it just looks terrible on my skin and just brings out all the crustiness and dehydration in my skin. So for that reason, once again, I would just recommend the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I just feel like this foundation does give what I would want this or the Kat Von D Lock It foundation to give, which just is a really nice, pretty full coverage look. And then, like I said, you know, you can go in with your powders, your matte primers, all that kind of stuff, and give your skin more of the matte look if that's what you want. But both those foundations are just way too much, and that's why I would just recommend the Too Faced Born This Way. Next up, we have the Nars foundation. This is the All Day Luminous Weightless foundation. I have the shade Light 1 Siberia. I remember when I bought this foundation and when this foundation launched, I remember their campaign was like, you need 1 drop of it to give your whole face a full coverage look. Okay, first of all, this foundation is more of a dry foundation, I found. It is All Day Luminous, but I feel like it gave my skin more of like a dry, crusty texture, which I didn't like. Also, for some reason, while I understand that it was trying to be like that serum liquid foundation, it just felt really gross on the skin. Like, for some reason, the serum that they were going for, or like that really super lightweight look, it just didn't work on my skin. I don't know if it was something in the formula, but it just wasn't good. Also, another issue I found with this foundation was the shade range. Like I said, this is Light 1 Siberia, and it was a little too yellow for me, but if I went up in a shade, it was way too dark for me, so I kind of had to deal with this one, which is why I don't like it. Also, with this foundation, I felt like I had to use a lot of it, which would totally counteract their campaign when this first came out. So if you want like more of a serum foundation that gives a full coverage look that has hydration to your skin and it's just really nice, I would recommend the new reformulated Natasha Denona Foundation X. It's actually what I'm wearing on my skin today, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Like you guys can hear when I shake the bottles, they have little metal balls in them to really help mix the product, since it is more of a serum foundation. I feel like Nars should put that in their serum foundation because I feel like it would really help mix the product better. Now, the thing that I really enjoy about the Natasha Denona one that I wish the Nars one was the coverage. You literally need hardly any of this foundation, and it truly does cover your entire face. Not only do you need just a little bit, but it gives such a beautiful, flawless looking finish to the skin. Like you guys can see on camera, my skin doesn't look cakey whatsoever. It looks really natural, really hydrated, and just really pretty. Also, the Nars one, like I said, the shade just didn't work for me, and in the Natasha Denona one, I can find a shade that does match me. So I have the shade 5N Fair and the shade 20Y. This one is the fair one, this one is the light one. The fair one is a little too fair for me, but I just mix it with this one and it's absolutely gorgeous. Also, I can use this one just on its own if I want to, but I did that the other day and it looked really pretty. But I really love this foundation. I also really like the pump on this foundation. It's really nice and clean, and it's a really easy squirt, whereas this one, like, you try to squirt it and it kind of like just drops out. I don't know. If it's a pump, I feel like it should pump. This is just like a dropper. Really bizarre. I do not like this foundation, and I would not recommend it. If you want, like I said, more of that serum foundation, then I would recommend the Natasha Denona Foundation X. Those were all of the foundations that are bestsellers on Sephora.com that I just don't like anymore, or that from the start never worked for me and my skin. Like I said, we all have different skin, so if any of these foundations are your holy grails that I don't like, nothing's wrong with that. You know, we can agree to disagree. This video wasn't meant to put down any of the brands that I didn't like in this video, because like I said, there are tons of products from each and every one of these brands in this video that I love and that I 100% would recommend to you guys. But these were just foundations that didn't work for me. Like I said though, leave me your comments below if you've tried these foundations that I didn't like and how you use them and what you would recommend for me to try, because I did spend my money on these products and I'm not gonna just throw them away because they are expensive. I mean, when they expire, I'll throw them away, but they're not expired yet. So I just have to keep using them and trying different ways with them. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, leave your thoughts and comments and recommendations down below. And until next time, bye guys.